The older I get, the more I find myself turning into my mother. Let me explain. Whenever we'd go to restaurants growing up, my mom would always say, I can make this better at home. She'd order something that looks delicious, and then like 5 minutes in, she just wouldn't be too happy with it. I do that now too, and I know it's annoying. Bolognese is that for me. The way that I make it, I top it with a delicious scoop of ricotta, and it turns into basically a lasagna in a bowl. It's outstanding. If you're looking for something that you can make at home better than what you would get in a restaurant, this is the place to be.
Just like all good sauces, we'll start with the veggies and aromatics. A lot of Bolognese recipes will have you using a food processor to mince your veggies, and that can be a great option. If you go that route, be sure to keep some texture to the vegetables. I know everyone may not have a food processor, so I'll show you how I chop everything for this. You'll need to break down 2 celery sticks into a small dice. Peel 2 carrots and do the same. For anything with a round edge like a carrot, it's really helpful to cut off one of the edges to make a flat base. From there, you can slice it into thick strips. Take those strips down to a large julienne, and then turn the carrots 90 degrees and run your knife through to get a nice dice. We need half a yellow onion for this, so roughly chop that. None of this needs to be perfect. This sauce is pretty classically rustic, so we'll kind of use that as an excuse. I like a lot of garlic, so I usually use anywhere from 4 to 8 cloves in my sauce. If you're not as into that, you can definitely tone it down to about 2 or 3 cloves. I like rocking my knife over the garlic to get a pretty fine mince, but we don't need this broken down into a paste, so don't go crazy. All these veggies are going to be cooked down in some olive oil to form a sweet and savory base layer to the sauce. We need a big sprig of basil, and that is it for the veggies and aromatics. For the meat, we need around 1 pound of ground beef and 1 pound of ground pork. I like to use both tomato paste and the whole tomatoes in this. I know it's more tomato than a traditional bolognese, but I won't tell if you won't. Take the whole tomatoes out of a good 28-ounce can. We don't need all the juice that's in it. It's going to be too much liquid. We need a quart of beef broth and a little red wine as well. You could use white if you prefer. It's going to be a little sweeter and more floral. We just need something to deglaze the pan and add a little bit of extra richness. So that is all the prep work done. We can get a 5-quart Dutch oven over medium heat. Once hot, add a few tablespoons of olive oil as well as your onion, celery, and carrot. Garlic won't go in yet because that's going to cook faster than all the other veggies. These veggies have a lot of water, so take your time. Did I mention this is usually a Sunday meal? Once your veggies are cooked and translucent and soft, we will go ahead and add the garlic and begin cooking until it takes on a small amount of color, maybe a minute or so. Remove your vegetables with a slotted spoon, leave the oil, and then add the meat to the pan. If I was cooking this for myself, I would leave some larger chunks of meat because I like that texture, but MK likes a much smoother sauce, so that's how we make it. Season this with salt and pepper and start breaking this apart with a stiff spoon. The browning of the meat will take around 15 minutes or so, depending on your heat, so this is a good time to enjoy the fact that we opened a bottle of wine earlier, am I right? You need to cook the water off the meat and then fry it in its fat. Once nicely browned, we can add 2 tablespoons of tomato paste and cook that for a few minutes. This will change into a dark red color pretty quickly, and then we can add a few large glugs of red wine, roughly a half to 3/4 of a cup. Scrape the bottom of the pan to get up the brown crunchy bits, and then add your cooked vegetables and whole tomatoes. Break the tomatoes up slightly with a spoon so that they can cook down quicker in the sauce. Add your beef stock, onion powder, garlic powder, Italian herbs, and lots of pepper. Add your basil and bring this up to a simmer. Close the lid and let this ride on medium-low for 50 to 60 minutes. It's a good time to clean up and just chill for a minute. After this first initial cook, it's a good time to taste it and see where you're at. If you're at my house, you best believe we're dunking some focaccia in it. This still needs to cook for another 50 to 60 minutes uncovered. We're looking for this to reduce by about half or so. There's a lot of liquid left and we want this to be a tight sauce. During this time, you may want to stir every 10 minutes or so just to make sure nothing is sticking or burning to the bottom. When it's reduced to your liking, cook a pound of pasta in salted water. I like a rigatoni or a pappardelle for this. Coat your cooked noodles in a little sauce and then serve them up with extra sauce in a scoop of fresh ricotta. Squeeze on a little olive oil, add flaky salt and pepper, and this is a pasta dish I can get excited about. You get deep brown flavorful notes from the wine, stock, and beef. The pork makes everything fatty so you can add more salt, and I think the extra tomato in this version brings a sweet tang that's often imitated by sugar or vinegar. This is a pretty dang good sauce and a really great use of a Sunday. Open some wine, get some good bread, and invite some people over for a special Sunday dinner. You won't be disappointed you did. Thank you so much for watching. If you want a much simpler recipe, try out last week's spicy pork belly. Subscribe for more cooking and food videos, and if you want to support what I'm doing, check out patreon.com/CameronMarty. Cheers.